1. I'm from Canada, and not sure if this shop was in the States or elsewhere. But we had a computer store called Future Shop. Think of Best Buy except everything is black and red instead of blue and yellow. Whenever someone in the family wanted an electronic issue resolved, they usually turned to me growing up. I was always the one savvy about anything and everything related to computers or video games. In my early 20s, my sister asked me to go help her pick out which iPod was the best. That day I was wearing a solid black t-shirt that had a red trim around the short sleeves. I didn't think much of it, but it was almost the exact same as the shirt the Future Shop employees wore minus the collar and name tag. We get there and go to the music area, and all the iPods are behind glass. This was before the iPod Touch, and the one that was all the rage was the light-up display on this big, thick 500 megabyte iPod, with the wheel still on it. For those who remember that. I started giving my sister the rundown on the different costs versus features of the iPod, and the iPod Nanos, etc. It didn't take long, out of the corner of my eye, for me to see 1 or 2 people standing just out of range of us, holding items or waiting for me to finish my conversation with my sister. Mid-conversation, I quickly realized what was happening, so started talking a little louder with my sister, dropping sentences like, "Man, if I worked here, I'd know everything inside and out," or, "Geez, I almost look like I work here." Saving a few customers embarrassment, it managed to brush most of them off, as they went to look for an actual employee. All except one woman who continued to wait, then followed me as I went around the corner. My sister and I were window shopping the aisle when I wandered far enough away for the woman to finally step in. "Hi there, I'm looking for the memory cards for one of these." Now, I should have just rolled with it and informed her from the beginning that I wasn't an employee, but at the same time I didn't mind helping her. Honestly, I don't think my sister even noticed. I led her over to the camera section and tried to walk away. She stopped me, saying she didn't know which memory card was the best, and I tried to suggest she speak with the man behind the counter in this department for advice. This is where she got a little rude, saying things like, "I'm not waiting for him, I'm asking you." To which I finally confessed that I don't work here. I tried to say it in a friendly tone, but she just stared at me before her face turned into a scowl. She began leaning forward into my face. "That is absolutely rude, trying to brush off customers because you don't want to deal with me. I need a fucking memory card. It's not that hard to figure out." Again, I tried to assure her, even laughing a bit, that I really didn't work here, but she was pointing at my shirt, calling bullshit. Still trying to be helpful, I tried to flag down a different person, but now she wanted to stick with me. For the sake of winning the argument, she started demanding that I pick out the memory card for her. I could see my sister was finally starting to wander over, so I remember looking at her camera, then telling her which memory card type to buy, and then just pointed her at the different price cards. I'm pretty sure my sister caught the end of it, where she picked one out and got in my face saying, "Thank you," loud and sarcastically. My sister was half confused, half laughing, to which I had to explain the whole ordeal. I could be imagining it, but I remember seeing her at the help desk on the way out. I imagine she was probably either trying to get me fired or in trouble, only to find out that I was telling the truth. 2. This is an admittedly stupid story, but it's something I have to deal with far too often. I work for a well-known grocery store that uses a bell system. It's known for employing very nice people who are genuinely kind, who rarely show frustration, attitude, anger, because that's not who we are. But we're all about providing a nice experience for our customers and being as accommodating as possible. Preface: I'm a gal who goes by my initials. My initials are my nickname. I've been going by this nickname for more than a decade. I'd say 95% of people I know call me it. My initials are my name. They are my identity. I feel most comfortable going by them. I feel safe going by them. The only people who call me by my birth name are immediate family, and a very tiny group of friends, but even they'll call me by my initials often. Anyway, my initials are on my name tag at Bell's store. Customers frequently ask me about my name whenever I'm speaking with them, and I truly don't mind explaining the background of it, who gave it to me, etc. Usually, they drop the same joke I've heard a million times, There's a famous person who also goes by these initials, and move on in the conversation. It's all very succinct and almost always pleasant, but sometimes I'll get customers who demand I tell them my real name and will not back down. This is a story about one of those times. A couple of days ago, this guy comes to my register to pay. I don't think he was meaning to come off as an asshole, but was just not aware of how he was sounding. He immediately zeroes in on my name tag and jumps right in. I can't even get a greeting out of my mouth before he starts. I'm going to imagine this guy's first name was Richard because this is a story about nicknames. Let's call him D for short.
What's your real name, though?
Oh, this is my name. I've had it for almost 12 years. Everyone calls me it. So, anyway, how's your day going?
So, this is a name your parents gave you?
No, sir. I guess it's really a nickname, but it's my preferred name. It's what I answer to. It's my initials and...
Your initials? But what's your name?
I still have a smile painted on my face, eyeing the enormous amount of items I still have to scan and bag, and wishing some of them, or even me, could disappear. Sir, the name on my tag is my name. So, did you do anything fun this weekend?
I find it hard to believe what's on your name tag is your actual name. Just tell me what it stands for.
I'm clearly getting uncomfortable now. Sir, the name on my tag are initials for my name. I've gone by my initials for a number of years. I proceed to tell him who started calling me by my initials and why it stuck, but do not tell him what the letters stand for because, well, honestly, it's nobody's business but my own. I don't owe a stranger any of my personal info. My initials are my name. D, after dropping that damn basic joke mentioned above, then starts to try to guess my first name and will not let up.
Your name, Lucy, Laura, Lindsay? Come on, give me a hint. Am I warm?
He also begins to say some socially inept things.
So you used to be an athlete, eh? Looks like you still eat like you're an athlete. Let me welcome you to the fat side.
Finally, thankfully, I'm done bagging his groceries, and he requests some help carrying them outside, a free service we offer. So I ring-a-ding that bell to call someone over for assistance, and who but my store's boss answers my call. The guy rarely does carryouts. I feel like some angel is looking out for me. My boss is in the middle of greeting D, barely gets out a "How are?" when D looks closely at my boss's name tag and interrupts him to flatly say,
Pronounce your name.
My boss was a little taken aback, I think, but says his name. It's an uncommon ethnic name. My boss is a person of color. D then says to my boss,
What's your middle name?
Boss, still looking a bit confused, tells D his middle name. It's just awkward now. D tries to pronounce the names a couple of times, names that honestly are not all that hard to pronounce, laughs and gives up. With a stupid grin on his face, he then turns around to me and goes,
See, it's not that hard. He's got a first name and a middle name for days. He should be the one with a nickname. Meanwhile, you're stonewalling. Well, anyway, have a good one.
And he says my name super sarcastically. I wish I knew what my face looked like in that moment. My boss walks him out and comes back about 10 minutes later, which I found weird because it should have taken him no more than 3 minutes to get back. He immediately comes over to me and begins to apologize for D's behavior and says a few things that make me think my manager had some words with the guy. But my manager ends it with, Names are special to us, they hold significance. And I'm sorry that dude didn't understand that. I guess this is what it comes down to. It's okay to ask questions about stuff. In fact, I welcome all questions. Let's have a conversation. But read the room. If you ask someone a question 7 times in a row and they're giving you an answer they deem sufficient, move on. You don't have to like my name, but you do have to respect it. I get it's unusual to you, but you don't know me. You're not entitled to know anything about me, only info I'm willing to volunteer. Anyway, that's my story. 3. The cast: D, my dad, EL, entitled lady, M, manager, me, yours truly. This story happened about 3 years ago. Me, my parents, and my dog were visiting the USA for 3 weeks during the summer holidays. We also visited some old friends who moved here. It was so good to see them again. Me and my dad went to Walmart one day to get some groceries. My mum and the doggo stayed at home because my mother was not feeling very well. First of all, damn America, the food here is amazing, but it has way more calories than here in Germany. Also, the portion sizes are so much bigger. I was shopping with my dad at Walmart to get something to eat for dinner. Keep in mind, my dad isn't very good at English, so I had to translate for him and speak to shop assistants for the most part. We are in the candy aisle to look for some snacks, but for the most part we are comparing what different candies America has. Both of us were speaking in German. My dad found a Twinkie package, if I remember correctly, and I explained to him what this was, what flavor, etc. When he put it in the shopping cart, I heard that typical Karen ahem sound. Thinking not much of it, I moved our shopping cart closer to the corner, because I thought that it was blocking someone from passing. Nope, another louder ahem sounded again, and I turned to my left. There she was, standing in her full glory. The Karen with every single Karen feature. Typical Karen haircut, huge sunglasses, and the "can I speak to the manager" outfit. She looked like she was about her late 40s to early 50s. The lady was staring at me and my dad and seemed rather annoyed. Can I help you? Took you long enough. Where are the paper towels? Excuse me? Are you deaf or something? I asked you where the paper towels are. Sorry ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, what the hell? How dare you speak to customers like that? I'm going to get the manager and tell him how rude you are. One last time, where are the paper towels? At this point, Karen started to annoy me and my dad, but in all my confusion, I realized that she thought I was an employee. The lady was looking very annoyed at me. Before I could correct her, my dad stepped in to speak with me in German. What's up with her? Is everything all right? Yes, this lady thinks that I'm an employee. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it. Suddenly, the lady looked extremely terrified, like she just saw a ghost or something. She quickly changed her attitude back to typical Karen behavior. Stop speaking Spanish! This instant! We're in America, so speak English. I will definitely tell your manager about this, you slut! Me and my dad were absolutely shocked. I really don't know how to answer that, but I tried to be respectful to her. Excuse me, ma'am, but you see, I don't work here. We are both German tourists. Please leave us alone. I grabbed our shopping cart and gestured to my dad to go to the next aisle and continue our shopping. As soon as we were almost around the corner, I made the mistake to look at the Karen again. She started screeching. You two stop immediately! And walked towards us. She grabbed my arm. Her grip was so tight that it almost made me tear up. The EL shouted in my face, You Nazi whore, come with me! I'm going to get your manager! I was shocked, and my dad was livid. He pushed her away from me and told her something along the lines in his broken English with his heavy German accent. Get your hands off my daughter, you stupid bitch! Go away and never talk to us again! The lady looked shocked at my dad, as if she'd never had someone raise her voice at her. Her mouth was moving as if she wanted to say something, but she quickly walked away after a bit. As soon as she disappeared, my dad comforted me and asked if I'm okay. I answered that I was fine, but needed to calm down a little. Some minutes pass, and we continue our shopping, hoping we never have to deal with that lady again. After about 10 minutes, we both hear that irritating and annoying voice again. Those are the guys! Me and my dad turn around and we see, lo and behold, our favorite nightmare Karen with manager in tow. Those are the guys. You need to fire that girl. She was very rude to me and threatened to kill me, and that man assaulted me and tried to rape me. She had an evil grin on her face as she said that. The manager looked confused at me and responds after a second. Ma'am, I'm very sorry, but this girl does not work here. What? But I saw her helping that man. She has to be an employee, and she threatened to kill me in a concentration camp. Me and my dad looked at each other in disbelief at each other, but I quickly tried to explain the situation to the manager. Sir, this is not true. Me and my dad are German tourists and in no way Nazis. We were in the candy aisle when this lady approached us. She mistook me for an employee, and when I tried to correct her, she suddenly called me names and a Nazi. When she was physically assaulting me, my dad pushed her away from me and told her to go leave us alone. I still have a bruise on my arm. When I showed the manager my bruise, the lady tried to claim that I painted it on my arm. My dad tried to back me up and told the manager again with broken English and heavy accent to look up the security footage. The lady's face turned pale, and she insists that I painted the bruise on my arm.
They're lying. You have to believe me. Those Nazis. They assaulted me and want to murder me and rape me, and don't watch the security footage because it's unnecessary and a waste of time.
Ma'am, I won't need to review the footage because I already witnessed it through the cameras. Then says to me, I'm sorry for this inconvenience. Do you want to press charges because this lady assaulted you? I politely declined because me and my family were just there for a holiday in America to relax and see new places and not visit courts. The lady got banned from the store, and me and my dad got a little discount on our groceries. Some people are just nuts, man. When we got home, we had a story to tell my mum and our dog, but in the end we just laugh over it. I got an ice cream from my dad and some loving cuddles from my dog. 4. I work at the return and customer desk in a retail store. I was originally hired on to be just a cashier, but they were short on people for the desk and ended up training me there. Anyways, I can't remember exactly what I was doing. I think I was helping one of my head cashiers. But some guy comes in with his family asking to return a water heater. Now, things like this are tricky because it has to fall into our return guidelines. I had 2 new people working at the desk, we'll call them SK and JN, and I've always urged them to call me if I'm nowhere near the desk when it comes to things like this. From what SK told me, he demanded to return the water heater because it stopped working. They asked him when he bought it because we can only take things like that back within 30 days. He said he bought it about 4 months ago. It was already out of our return policy, but occasionally we let it go through if they're getting another, which is exactly what he wanted. He was asked if he had the receipt, and he said no. That's strike 2. We have to have the receipt. He was then asked if he had at least called the manufacturer, another no, and a 3rd strike. SK and JN informed him that we were unable to do anything without the receipt, or the card or an RA number, return authorization number. Needless to say, he was pissed. SK calls me back to the desk because she's never had to deal with something like this, and JN was getting really upset because the line was being held up. I come around the corner and ask the man if I could help him. Immediately I'm hit with,
Who are you?
I work at the desk right now, how can I help you?
I need to return this water heater and get another one.
Okay, no problem. Do you have the receipt or an RA number?
No.
Well then, the answer is, unfortunately, sir, I'm unable to return or exchange it without either of those. Now, it's important to note that this man is a regular. A lot of our customers are regulars due to a majority of them being contractors and such, but we do get regular folk that aren't in any business. The man immediately demands to speak to the person who's in charge, and I tell him, that would be me. Another important note, SK is 28 and JN is about 23 years old. I'm considerably younger than either of them, but I'm 20 years old and I've been here since I was about 19. D, my head cashier, had gone to the bathroom, but it wasn't uncommon for us to fend for ourselves for a little while. He's clearly upset at being told he can't return the water heater by someone who can't even drink. So he again demands to speak to the manager. The store has quite a few managers, about 14 of them, 15 if we're including the store manager. Which manager would you like to speak to?
Give me BB.
One of the 3 ASMs, which is how I knew he was a store regular. BB isn't here tonight, but I can call another one.
Well, he needs to get here because this is ridiculous. My kids don't have hot water tonight.
Sir, BB is at home, with his family. I'm not calling him. I'll call someone else. The man then starts to raise his voice at me again before I cut him off with a hand to tell him to stop. Neither his wife nor teenage daughter is happy. The kids were fine. I gave them stickers. Anyway, D comes up to the desk and tells the man the exact same thing I said while I try to get a hold of another manager. I leave the desk for a minute to flag down DE, who's near the back end of the paint department. He's the paint manager. And plead with him to please come to the desk. DE absolutely despises customers who catch an attitude with him because they don't want to comply with our return policy. He comes to the desk, though, and proceeds to tell D that he'll take care of it so she can watch the front end. About 30 minutes pass, and the man was on phone with A.O. Smith trying to get a hold of a representative for an RA number. Apparently D had told him that we'd take it back with just the RA number, which is fine. We'd get a call from corporate, but it was okay. So he's on the phone with A.O. Smith before the line cuts out and he absolutely loses it. What he didn't realize was that they had hours just like everyone else and he had called about 30 minutes before their closing. So he wasn't going to get anyone and would have to wait until the morning. The man, of course, catches an attitude with D, who wasn't having it at all.
Okay, but when I buy a product from you guys...
See, sir, this is where you aren't getting it. We act as a middleman. That's it. You came in here at 6 in the evening and it says here that they close at 7 on Sundays. This isn't our fault, nor do we have to fix or return anything from you.
So you're saying you don't care about your customers? My kids have to bathe in cold water.
I do care about my customers, and all my customers know that if they raise their voices with me, they aren't getting anything. So would you like to stop talking and let me see if there's something I can do? Or do you want to keep going? D tells me to call JC, an on-site ASM, and I almost smiled because I immediately knew what was going to happen. I love all of my managers, but JC is my absolute favorite. Seriously, he's super tall, 6 foot something, and he's from England and has been living in the States for a decade. JC is a little busy in the back dealing with a delivery problem, and we tell the man and his family that he would be right up when he could. Unfortunately, the delivery took priority since it was a customer problem too. Another 30 minutes pass and they've already been here for about an hour, and I've helped a few other customers in the meantime. He demands to know what's taking JC so long, and I reiterate that there was a customer before him, so he would have to wait if he wanted JC's answer.
I shouldn't have to wait. We've been here for over an hour.
DE says, well, sir, I did say that you could go home and we could try this again in the morning. You refused. Another 10 minutes passed and I'm bored, so I head to receiving and JC is just finishing with the delivery problem. I'm already laughing because I know what he's going to say and how he's going to say it. We head back up front. JC looks the man right in his face and just says, no.
Excuse me?
You heard me, I said no.
You have some nerve coming up here and telling me that. We've waited for over an hour. This is ridiculous. What's your name and your corporate office number?
No, sir. What's ridiculous is you coming in here, getting smart with my staff, when you have no proof of payment. No RA number, and I was informed that you've had it for about 4 months, and you stated that you were going to buy a new one and put the old one in the new box. So, I have enough grounds to tell you exactly that. No, get out.
You can't.
We have the right to refuse any return without proof of purchase.
Where does it say that?
On the giant sign behind you, on our desks in front of your face, on the backs of our receipts, and in this nice little packet I'm going to give you that says return policy. Please read it. In the end, the man and his family goes home without their new water heater, and I end up leaving my shift about 20 minutes past 7, but it was worth it. 5. So I'm 24, 22 at the time, and I worked as a station agent in a French airport. There are people in suits that check you and your luggage in, and even board you or deboard you from planes. I worked with a French company for 8 months during the summer of 2018. Working there was the best. Great hours, big pay. People are a-holes, but honestly not so bad once you learn how to deal with them proper. One of my favorite parts of this job were the hours. Either from 4 AM to 2 PM or from 1 PM to 10:30 PM. No weekends nor public holidays. For most people that's probably bad, but for me it was paradise. We would get days off by cycle, and having days off in the middle of the week rocks. Go get groceries with almost nobody in stores, all governmental agencies open, and less people all around because they are working. A paradise. Now, for the first 5 months there, I would always come in dressed in a suit, full suit, even in the middle of summer, with a tie and everything. So I would go home or stop to stores in the suit as well. After a while I got tired and started to change clothes arriving and leaving from work. This story of course happened when I was still coming and leaving work in the full suit. It was around 3 months after I started. By then, wearing a suit became natural. No more of that weird, uncomfortable feeling while wearing it. It became normal. Even more, I got used to changing my attitude while wearing it, like my posture. And people, even in the streets, would think that I'm some successful person just because I wear a suit. And I also got quite used to noticing people needing help, problematic customers and all that. I leave work at 3 or 4 p.m., had to stay longer to cover for someone, and head to a store to bring a faulty electronic I bought there. I walked to the store wearing only my suit and carrying the thing in a bag. I head toward customer service and immediately notice a man, hand on the counter, leaning toward the cashier, she'll be Julie, and all her colleagues look tense, eyeing the guy. I shrug, not my problem, I'm not paid to deal with that one. I turn to sit and notice that all the seats are taken, so I stay up and pull out my phone. Meanwhile, the guy starts to speak louder and louder. From what I got, the issue was that he wanted to use the store card of his wife, but the store policy is that you can't use the card of another customer even if you're their relative, as the card can be used to make credit. The guy gets more and more heated up and starts calling around for other people to join. That immediately ticks me off. When I was in training to become a station agent, we learned of different types of customers. I won't go into detail, but this guy is what we call a red customer. Someone that will rally customers to help them get what they want. I see Julie on the verge of tears and I try to think of something to do while the guy starts throwing slurs at her. I finally notice a paper hanging near the counter and take action. I drop my bag, adjust my tie, take my best manager face, and walk to the guy. As soon as he notices me, he smirks and turns to me. "You're the manager?" To which I reply, "Yes," while looking at both him and the cashier as if to judge the situation. Julie turns white. He points at her and says, "This employee is discriminating against me. I want to use the discount on my wife's store card. I have her ID. There's no reason that..." I then take a step forward. I'm not tall, and this guy was taller than me. But he still stops while I get into his face. Without a word, I point at the paper I saw earlier. It's a notice saying that any kind of harassment or insult towards an employee will result in a lawsuit and fine for the customer. It's his turn to turn white, or whiter. He opens his mouth, but I'm faster. She is right. If you want to use that card, you need your wife to be here. Now I have to ask you to leave, or I'll have to call security. But first you will apologize. You've been beyond insulting to her. A security guard that is always near steps closer. He turns to the woman, apologizes in a weak voice, and quickly walks off. I talk to Julia and ask her if she's okay. She thanks me profusely. Then another worker comes to ask me what to do with a product returned by another client. I giggle and, pulling my airport ID, simply state, "Sorry, I don't work here." I just can't stand people like this. I was allowed to pass first, got a refund, and smiles from everyone on the team. A good day. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 84. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Can't remember when I did one of these last. I don't think it was too long ago, but I was pretty much out of stories when I went searching, but thankfully it came together quickly. I usually do these ones. Well, we're in March now, and hopefully for old Hellfreezer that means new TV by the end of the month. I've just about got all my pennies organised for it, and I've also signed up for Disney Plus. I was going to wait, but it was cheaper to do it now. I'm just waiting for the people. Annoyingly, only one company has the TV I want at a decent supply. Amazon have it as well, but they're charging more than it's worth. So is the place I'm buying it from, but they do knock it down in price a bit, so I'm actually just waiting for it to go back down in price again to a reasonable price. Basically, they need to knock another 100 off it, which they have done, and they can do again, and then I'll hopefully have it by the end of the month. If not, then I'll wait until it goes cheap enough. Unless the one I'm currently using goes kablooey, which is actually kind of possible. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.